The giant expanse of Fat Gum's agency was a sight to behold. Compared to Fourth Kind's modest establishment, you found something warm and comforting in these halls. Still, you twiddled your thumbs and tapped your shoes in anxiousness. You haven't heard from Kirishima in a while. Your eyes drifted every so often, catching glimpses of heroes and sidekicks alike roaming the large foyer. But no tall redhead. You decided perhaps to roam a bit. Perhaps Kirishima was still on patrol. Or on a mission. Or on his way to a mission. Or returning. Or, "Hey," spoke a low voice, catching your attention from your runaway train of thought.
"Oh, I'm Vijiki. Hey, sorry. Didn't see you there."
You mumbled, fumbling over your words a little. It only made the tall dark-haired man sulk, hiding his eyes behind his shades and his hood. He looked a little worse for wear with part of his cloak charred, assuming he must have returned from patrol.
"It's fine,"
he simply replied.
"I'm used to it."
No, I didn't mean... Have you seen Eijirou? He said he'd be back, but I haven't seen him through here.
Amajiki's eyes drifted through the foyer before he shrugged.
"He's probably already back. He called in not too long ago. If I see him, I'll let him know you're here."
Thank you, Amajiki.
You beamed a smile at the pro hero, watching his eyes turn away before he walked. If you didn't know any better, it looked like he was slightly embarrassed.
Oh, Amajiki. Where would Eijirou be if he's done for the day?
You asked.
"Maybe the lockers,"
replied Amajiki without even turning his head to face you. You only continued to watch him walk away. It was commonplace for the pro hero to be a little unsociable, but he still radiated a good heart that came with his reputation. You stood from one of the foyer lounges, stretching your limbs above your head before you began to stroll through the agency, making note of the direction towards the locker rooms. Maybe you'll bump into Kirishima. Or he got caught up with his friends in the agency. A couple of sidekicks exited a steamy room while they waved something in the air between themselves. They were quick to catch with your eye as they ran past, but it looked like a couple pieces of clothing in their hands, guffawing and hooting through the hall. You shook your head at the sight, until the sound of running wet footsteps suddenly caught your ear. A sudden jolt slammed into you before a large body grabbed hold of yours, catching you in his large arms. The cold touch of his skin and the warmth of the steam around you hit you like a brick wall, while your hands pressed against his bare chest.
"Sorry, I didn't mean..."
started a familiar voice before you came face to face with a familiar redhead, his hair clinging to his skin while he pressed against yours. You felt the rush of blood flush into your cheeks and your ears when you stared into those familiar red eyes.
"Thumper?"
uttered Kirishima with his large arms hugging around you. You were speechless, feeling every muscle of his on you. Thankful that at the very least he was wearing a towel around his hips. Still, a very naked Kirishima held on to you in the middle of the halls, out in public. And he only realized the same thought.
Whoa, sorry, I mean, it's not what it looked like!"
he exclaimed, releasing you and backing away, his hand immediately on the edge of his towel.
"Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back."
The next thing you knew, Kirishima ran after those sidekicks earlier with his towel still flailing around, keeping him decent. You did not move. You felt like your breath halted before you walked towards a wall to lean against, groaning and hiding your face in your hands. You woke in the warm armchair that overlooked the pier in indoor docks, staring at the moonlight that shone into your eyes. In your fog, you found a book on your lap and a blanket draped over your body. Falling asleep to one of the few books available wasn't a strange occurrence. However, the blanket that wrapped around you brought a smile on your face. Kaminari had come home sometime during the night. There was no reason to find him, assuming that he had made his way to bed upon arriving home from whatever commission work he had to involve himself in. Rubbing the sleep from your eyes, you shifted in the armchair, hearing the creak from its old wooden frame and feeling the tightness in your muscles. You ensured you wouldn't make too much noise, now knowing that it was already dark and could interrupt Kaminari's sleep upstairs. Still, nature called. Your head was foggy. You felt groggy, yawning out loud while you walked towards the bathroom. Unfortunately, you did not notice the light that was alit from behind its doors, opening it to be met by the warmth of moisture in the air and the steam that caressed your skin. There, standing in the middle of the open bathroom, was Kaminari, hair draped down his back while he draped a towel around his waist. If you weren't so groggy from the sleep, the steamy image of this pro hero definitely woke you up. Your eyes trailed along his wet skin, taking note of his lithe and lean build before he turned his golden eyes on you. You stammered, standing by the door like a deer staring at oncoming headlights. His golden eyes captivated you, still dozing and relaxed from a hot shower while his hair clung to his skin. That smile of his, crooked with a tiny smirk, caught you unaware.
Mon ange.
He cooed.
It's rude to stare, you know.
Merde, pardon. Je n'étais pas au courant.
You immediately said, shutting your eyes and holding your hand out.
Je suis désolé.
Soon the feel of his hands reached out to yours, still warm to the touch, yet cold from the wet. You peeked only to be met by Kaminari's almost cocky stare, his bare chest now close to you.
I had a late night,
he explained.
Sorry if I woke you.
Oh, no, you didn't.
You explained, still by the bathroom door.
I just,
It was odd to stare, to be on this side of the situation. As dorky as Kaminari was, he looked different in this light, as if he bore a different side of him. No amount of gossip or current affairs you had read would ever describe Kaminari in this way. There was a flutter in your chest.
May I have your permission to pass through the threshold?
He asked, still with that smirk.
Huh?
You still stared, only to realize that you were blocking his way out from the bathroom, hopping out of the way to give him space to leave. You caught the glimmer of something in his face before he slid his fingers from yours, leaving you while he walked towards his bedroom loft. It wasn't his crooked smirk, but his eyes. He spoke with bedroom eyes.
Sleep well, mon ange.
He spoke, turning his gaze on you once more before he disappeared from sight. You needed a moment before stepping into the steam, snapping yourself from the trance he held onto you effortlessly. You couldn't help but smile. And you thought you were the only one able to enchant.
Good night, Roi de la Fille.
You perched atop a mediocre apartment complex while you surveyed the scene, spotting the agency in sight. After weeks on the run, you've grown impatient with your lack of information on your own investigations. Your usual routes to collect from the Commission have been abandoned due to a number of crises, and if you were honest, playing petty thief was getting old. You spotted Hunter Sero not too long ago disappear into his agency, wondering if you could slip into the building undetected to have a word. It had been some time since you've spoken to him, still angry over the fact that you had been made for your escapades. That visit in the rain, despite the painful experience, didn't count. A ball of light flickered in the palm of your hand, playing with it for a moment before you tossed it towards a partially open window on one of the agency's floors. With that, your body transferred into light, appearing by the windowsill and shooting through its cracks, landing onto the vinyl floor with a squeak. There was no time to lose before your feet flew down the hall, your eyes darting for any signs of life. Luckily, no one was around. The first course of action was to locate Sero, discovering that you found yourself in the enclosed office spaces, where most, if not all, judging by the silence, have left for the day. You quickly made your way through the halls, finding a set of stairwells until the sound of chatter caught your ear. Without hesitation, you turned towards a set of doors, the next ones available for you to slip into before eyes caught sight of your presence. You breathed a sigh of relief once the voices and footsteps disappeared from the other side of the door, turning to find yourself in a locker room. Your eyes stared at the row of lockers that lined the walls until a pair of wet footsteps caught your attention. Turning your eyes on, there in nothing but a towel and still wet from the showers stood Sero with his hair slicked back. He stared at you, flabbergasted by your presence inside his agency, let alone presently here while he finished a day of work.
What are you doing? How did you get in?
He questioned with his hand tightly clutching his towel by his waist.
Oh my god, put some clothes on!
You exclaimed in turn, looking elsewhere and refusing to look him in the eye.
I just got out of a shower.
Okay, but you standing there doesn't help the situation.
You pulled at your lips, trying your best to keep the image of his body out of your head. But you couldn't ignore the fact that he was standing beside you, in nothing but that towel. All wet.
Wow, I've never seen you so embarrassed like this.
He chirped with a smirk.
This isn't funny.
You remarked.
Can you go get changed so I can talk with you?
We can talk right now. You have my attention.
He wasn't making it any easier.
I'm still mad at you.
You added, your eyes trying their best to still look away.
Can you just put some clothes on?
The sound of footsteps grew closer before he walked past you, allowing your eyes to watch the curvature of his back before he approached his locker ahead. You only continued to stare, watching him collect his civilian clothes before he began to loosen his towel to dry further. Your breath hitched before you turned your back to him once more, avoiding eye contact and any roving eyes from staring. It didn't help your imagination on what was happening behind your back. This plan backfired. A brisk walk was what you needed to clear your head. You took in some fresh air before you found your way back home, entering the foyer, then soon the elevator, taking you to the 5th floor. Entering through your door was the usual, being greeted by Toka who curled around your legs with a mule. You collected her in your arms, eyes staring into hers despite her inquisitive nature, now perched on your chest from another perspective.
Now has Daddy come back home?
You asked with a chirp, receiving one from Toka.
No? He's still at work?
Thanks to Shinsou, you were given some leave to recuperate from the events Seek had caused throughout the city. This left you with nothing to do at home while he continued the effort. On and off the books. You sighed while bobbing Toka gently in your arms, giving her a scratch or two before you released her. A shower felt like a good idea, you thought. You began to strip some of your clothes, tossing them onto the couch while you briskly made your way towards the bathroom. Your mind was elsewhere, free from thoughts until you questioned the sound of running water briefly before it stopped. Trigger the mind, or so you thought, before the bathroom door swung open too late. In a wet mess of purple hair, Shinsou stood by the doors with a towel wrapped around his waist. The warm and humid air pricked your skin instantaneously, and your eyes laid on his bare chest before they crawled up towards his drowsy eyes. You swore that the hot shower had lifted those eye bags, even if it was a little.
Hey, kitten.
Coolly greeted Shinsou with a smirk.
Hi.
You squeaked, unable to contain your composure. You questioned his presence. Wasn't he supposed to be at work? Did he text that he was coming home early? Did you forget? Did he? You didn't utter another word, only fixated on your thoughts while you stared at his moist skin and damp hair that framed his face. Shinsou edged in closer, hovering a breath away from your face with his drowsy violet eyes staring into yours.
Cat got your tongue?
He teased while he leaned against the doorframe.
Stop tempting me.
You spat with a pout, feeling the heat from his skin.
This is the most fun I've had for a while. Let me have this.
He whispered close to your lips before closing in for a kiss. You giggled while he did, only being silenced by Shinsou's lips pressing against yours. His wet fingers trailed along your cheek and jaw, sending shivers across your skin and down your spine. He did not care how wet he was, or how much he was pressing against you, while he maneuvered around you, still in his kiss, until he pulled away, leaving you by the bathroom door. You watched him walk away into the bedroom, leaving behind damp footprints on the wooden floors. The bubbling excitement only brewed in your stomach, filled with butterflies, before you entered the bathroom.